Hey everybody, this is what pig farming looks like today, and I'm going to start off with a little bit of an apology. I haven't made a video since before my long weekend, and part of that is because as soon as I got back, literally the day I got back from my vacation, one of my pigs, Vinny, had a very, very severe injury. As a matter of fact, speaking to a lot of experienced pig farmers afterwards, almost all of them would have harvested him early rather than bringing in the vet and trying to save him. I'm going to post a couple of pictures of what his injury looks like right now below. Or excuse me, not below this video, but on my Facebook and Instagram. So please be very careful. You know, it's kind of gross. Not as bad as it was on Monday, but you know, if you have an uneasy stomach, just don't look at it. So what we're doing is I brought in the vet right away, and they cleaned the wound. They gave him antibiotics, which, as you guys know, I'm trying to raise my animals antibiotic-free, hormone-free. But of course, if an animal is sick and it needs antibiotics to live, that's different than just pumping them full of antibiotics every day. It was either do antibiotics or kill it early, harvest it early, and so I chose with going with the antibiotics and trying to get him up to a bigger weight, trying to get him nice and healthy so that we can harvest him in the future. One of the downsides to the antibiotics, on top of just using them when I'm trying not to, is that you cannot harvest an animal within 4 weeks of it receiving an antibiotic. So it's going to get a second dose this Friday that I'm going to have to administer myself, which is going to be rough. But on top of that, I'm going to have to wait until the end of July to butcher a Vinny, which I was trying to do early in mid-July. So now it's going to have to push it back to late July to make sure that all the antibiotics are out of the system so it can be safely harvested and eaten. So that's a little bit frustrating. And on good news, though, we are starting to sell out of pork shares. We have several people who have said that they want them, and I'm going to start collecting deposits from them in the very near future. If you still want some pork, let me know. Some of my availability is going to be dependent on whether or not Vinny makes it. Obviously, I've only got 3 pigs being harvested in July, and if one of them doesn't make it to the end of July, that's a third of my product gone, which sucks. But it is what it is. It's one of the risks we take when we're doing an endeavor like this. So I'm just trying to take it all in stride and use it as a learning experience. So right now what I'm going to do is get out of the nice air conditioning of my truck and go ahead and show you guys how the pigs are doing right now. As you can see, we got Pumbaa right here. He's huge. He's at least 150 right now, maybe even closer to 180. He probably weighs as much as I do right now, which is about 180. And then our Gilt is doing fantastic. She's going to be a great mother and give us some great children. Not sure if you can see them too well because of the lighting right now. But of course, now we've got Kosher. He's still on the small side, but he's definitely over 100 pounds, probably about 110. And so getting on his way there. And then, of course, we have Vinny, and Vinny's our one with the injury. He's not acting very injured yesterday or today. On Monday, when we first noticed the injury, he was definitely limping and struggling. But after the vet visit, he has turned around pretty well as far as walking without a limp and such. And you can see, I'm going to zoom in now on his wound. It's black because of all the dirt on it. So I'm trying my best to rinse it as much as I can every day and to get iodine on it every day to help clean it out. But he's a pig. He spends his time in that wallow over there to cool off. There's no way to prevent that because a pig needs to be able to cool off in the mud. So that's one of the risks. It's why a lot of pig farmers would have just harvested him early instead of trying to get him healthier and grow him out more. Maybe in the future I won't make the same decision. I won't know until it happens. But this is what I'm doing right now. And I got my fingers crossed, and I need you guys to cross your fingers for me that it turns out okay. So filling up their wallow, taking care of Vinny, and I'm cleaning up the inside. I'm taking all of the hot wire stuff out of the pen right now because it's not working and I don't have the time to troubleshoot it. Because what you can see out here is this fence is all messed up, even though my pigs haven't touched it. And the reason for that is the wild pigs are back. little bastards. So I'm going to have lots of friends and family and community members who like to hunt wild pigs out here to help me get rid of them. The wild pigs, they smell my pig's food. They want to come up and eat it themselves. And I actually think that's how Vinny got hurt. They're up around the fence constantly. We can see it on the trail cams, and they even come by when we're here. And I think they agitate my pigs through the fence, which caused Vinny to bust out and hurt himself while doing it. I think that's what happened. I don't think there was a fight. I don't think it actually happened on any of the things in here. I think the gate that we had here before, if you remember, is basically, it was that stuff right there, just ratchet strapped to the opening. And he got irked. He busted through it, scratched himself on it, and that's what happened. So I got to get rid of the wild pigs for a couple of reasons. The biggest one is for what just happened to Vinny this weekend was they're pissing off my pigs and causing them to hurt themselves. I can't have that happen again. Then on top of that, wild pigs bring diseases. I don't want to get my pigs full of diseases, and I don't want to stock them up on antibiotics to prevent those diseases. So I got to get rid of the diseases, got to get rid of the wild pigs. And as soon as I do that, I can finally go ahead and finish troubleshooting my electric strands out here, get them working at 100%, so my pigs can go back out on pasture where they freaking belong, and have some happy pigs raised on pasture. So, unfortunate that the wild pigs are preventing me once again from getting my pigs out on pasture. If I could get my pigs out on pasture, I would probably section off a piece of this, like we did when we introduced Moo, so that he could have his own place to rest and maybe get a little less dirty. But if we were to do that right now, I think it would do more harm than good, considering that the rest of the pigs also have to be pent up, and I want them to have a comfortable amount of space to do that. As you can see, when I just turned away the camera, they're all using that section as the bathroom right now. They're keeping the rest of the cage pretty clean as far as waste goes, and I don't want to take their ability to do that away from them. So a lot of stuff you have to balance in a situation like this. I hate this balance. I wish everything could just be working perfectly, but it is what it is. It's farming. It's mostly science, but it's also not quite. And we do what we can to keep all the pigs moving along and growing healthy and happy so that we can eat them and raise some more. On to more exciting news is obviously we know that Moo is our first gilt. I do have reservations on a pair of Mations. And for those of you who don't know, Mations are a very, very rare breed of pig. They make extremely delicious pork, and they're exceptionally good mothers and very docile. And I'm very excited to see what we can do with those ladies. We're probably going to get 2 of them. And then so we'll have Moo plus 2 other sows, and they'll be with us for as long as they are healthy and happy and producing good litters for us. And probably for next year, we'll only be doing 1 litter from each sow, and then ramping up for the following years from that. But for those of you who don't know, and why would you, Moo is a Berkshire-Hampshire mix. I'm going to be crossing her with Berkshire AI, and potentially keeping one of her piglets as a boar for the 2 Mations, because Berkshire crossed with Mason is what's referred to in the pork industry as a black beauty, and that's going to provide us some very fast-growing, very delicious pork that you guys are going to love when and if you get a chance to eat it. So let me know if you're interested in that when it comes around. Obviously, that's pretty far out. The first mix of Berkshire Mason and the Black Beauties that we'll have are going to probably hit the ground probably February, March of next year, which means in time for July and August barbecues next year. So this is definitely some long-term planning that we're doing. In the short term, I'm going to start doing some projects out here at the lake. As you can see, this lake is super duper low right now. It's at least 6 feet low. I think it's close to 8 feet low, because I can stand over here in this sandy section, and that bank is up over my head. And it really, this lake should be very close to the top of the bank there. And so while it's low like this, I'm going to create more habitat for forage fish. This spring we had tons and tons and tons and tons of fingerling young of the year fish in here, and over the last 2 months, as the water has dropped, those fish no longer have anywhere to hide. That means that they get eaten too fast, which means the rest of the year the bass have nothing to eat. And when I say bass, I also mean the birds and gators and everything else that relies on this pond as a habitat. So what we're going to be doing is adding habitat, mostly naturally by downing some trees, also by actually building it, doing it man-made. I've got a couple ideas from that. I'm sure if any of you follow like fishing channels on YouTube and TikTok, they do this kind of stuff all the time. But they typically do it half-assed just for the clicks. We're going to do it right. We're going to do a lot of it so that we can grow some happy fish here and make sure the other wildlife is also satisfied. So stay tuned, follow along. I've also got a great milkweed started, a great spot of milkweed started at home. As soon as those reach up, we can finally start turning this lake into Butterfly Lake. You know, one of the reasons I bought this area was for conservation of pollinators and native plants, and I'm going to plant the first section of milkweed here. It's already planted at home. As soon as it gets about 6 inches tall, I'll transplant it, and it'll be going. In the meantime, you may not have seen them on videos, but I've seen tons of them. The butterflies and pollinators are already here. Not as many monarchs as I would like, but definitely Gulf fritillaries and laced-wing butterflies are all enjoying all of the Joe Pye weed that we have here, as long as everything else. So I've got to pick a spot for the first butterfly garden here, probably down here by the tent. I've also got to get the lawnmower out here and mow all this so that we can use it for family gatherings for the rest of the summer and into the fall. So a lot of work to do. There's always something that gets in my way and is throwing me off of the schedule that I want to be on, but we're working through it, we're fighting through it all, and that's just a part of starting something new, learning new skills, and frankly starting a new business. So thank you so much for following along, for watching the YouTube. Thanks for hitting like and subscribe below so that I know somebody's actually interested in watching these things. And for those of you who have already asked for some of my pork, thank you so much. And I'm very happy to be selling that to you in the next month.